covering the entire Piedmont Triad and everywhere you are. This is WXII 12 News at 5.
Happening right now on WXII 12 News at 5. A lot of news on this Thursday, including what an audit at the School of the Arts uncovered and a national fast food worker walkout. We'll hear from protesters here in the Triad. But first, Greensboro police are investigating a shooting that leaves one man dead and his wife, a local teacher, in the hospital. The story involves two shooting scenes, the first on Adams Farm Parkway, the second in the Lowe's parking lot on South 40 Drive. Our Rob Wu is live tonight in Greensboro with the latest details, all new at 5 o'clock. Rob?
Cam, Greensboro police tell us Larissa Armstrong, the victim, is, quote, hanging on in critical condition over at Moses Cone Hospital. Now, according to court documents that we've obtained, she tried to file for a domestic violence protective order against her husband in late July, about a month before the couple separated. In the paperwork, she writes about being harassed. She also claims of receiving unwanted visits from her husband, Bruce Armstrong. He, on the other hand, argues in here that he was just trying to salvage the relationship, and he backed off once it became clear that she was not interested. Now, more on our victim. Larissa Armstrong is 62 years old. She is also a teacher at the Wellborn Academy of Science and Technology in High Point. The district tells us she's been on staff since 1996, starting out as a teacher's assistant. Armstrong teaching grades 6 through 8, courses in exploring career decisions and exploring life skills. She was shot multiple times shortly before 8 a.m. this morning. Responding to 911 calls, police found her laying on the ground at the Steeplechase Apartments on Adams Farm Parkway in Greensboro. About 2 hours later, they found her husband, the alleged shooter, over at a nearby Lowe's home improvement store parking lot in a vehicle that they had actually been searching for. Bruce Armstrong was found unresponsive, later pronounced dead, also at Moses Cone Hospital. The cause of death still unknown. And as we said, though married, this couple has been separated. They did have children. A son at the family home did not wish to speak. And as far as an exact or specific motive, Cam, investigators say we may never know. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Rob Wu, live tonight in Greensboro. Greensboro police are searching for two men behind a gas station robbery that has a clerk on the mend. Investigators say that clerk was shot around 6:20 last night at the Wilco station on West Wendover Avenue. He is expected to be okay. Tonight, the Chief Information Officer of the UNC School of the Arts in Winston-Salem is at the center of an investigation after the state auditor found some questionable spending. According to the auditor's report, CIO Lisa Smith purchased an Apple MacBook Pro for more than $2,800 in March of 2010. Smith bought another MacBook Pro in June of the same year, claiming that the first one had connectivity problems with the Wi-Fi at the School of the Arts. That first MacBook, though, according to the audit, was given to her son for use at Appalachian State University.
To her son. She says that her computer was broken, but there was no track it tickets. There was no evidence that she told anybody that the computer was broken and that anything was wrong with it before she made the purchase. And in reality, there was nothing wrong with the computer when the school received it back.
The interim chancellor of the School of the Arts released this statement to WXII 12 News saying, quote, "A mistake was made, it was a misuse of state equipment, and the university has taken appropriate disciplinary action," end quote.
You're looking live right now at downtown Mount Airy, where we have a lot of blue sky out there, only a few puffy clouds and only a few spotty showers as well to report. Take a look at Super Doppler 12 radar. We'll show you where we do have some wet weather. It is mainly dry across the Triad, but a couple of showers coming down out of Virginia and working their way to the west and southwest. So we do have a little heavy downpour in progress just north of Highway 21 near the communities of Devotion, Thurman, also Mountain Park. As you move over I-77 toward Mount Airy, you see some moderate rain too that is headed in your direction. Also some heavy rain around Fancy Gap. No lightning with this so far, and any wet weather that we do see out there will be very isolated. If you don't have rain, you're more than likely going to have a good bit of sunshine as well as the heat. Take a look at the temperatures that are in the mid to upper 80s. We're 85 in Greensboro, 86 in Winston-Salem. Our forecast for this evening, an isolated shower chance early on. It stays warm later on with partly cloudy skies. Temps will be in the upper 70s.
Thank you, Laney. More than 24 people came out today in support of a Bennett College student who's accusing Greensboro police officers of excessive force. Our Bill O'Neill is standing by live now outside the courtroom in Greensboro with more on the story. Bill?
Cam, the hearing is still underway behind me in the courthouse. This is a very sensitive matter. It involves a white Greensboro police officer, a male, and an African-American female student from Bennett College. What happened is last April there was a college graduation party at the Sebastian Village Apartments. A noise complaint led police to the scene, and from that point we get two very different stories. We are told by police that there was a woman there, a student by the name of Ashley Buchanan. She is a graduate of Bennett College now and supposedly struck the officer twice in the face. Police testified to that in court today. Meantime, a number of students from Bennett College who were also at that graduation party testified that they never saw Buchanan strike the officer. And that is what's going on in the courtroom right now. But Cam, I can tell you the story has gone on much bigger than that. It has really addressed the whole relationship between the Greensboro Police Department and the African-American community. Many black leaders here in Greensboro have questioned whether or not this incident would have ever happened if the students were from, say, UNCG instead of an historically black college. Now, tonight, they don't know if we'll have a verdict anytime soon. The judge is listening to the closing arguments. The young college girl here, Cam, I can tell you, says that the officer put his hands on her in an effort to stop her from doing something in the house. When she tried to resist, pulling her arm away, she then claims that she was wrestled to the floor by 3 Greensboro police officers. She is in court today, charged with the assault of the police officer, and that is what the case is going on right now. If we do get a verdict anytime soon, we'll certainly share it with you. I'll send it back to you, Cam.
All right, thanks for that update. That's Bill O'Neill live tonight in Greensboro. All over the country today, fast food workers were walking off the job demanding higher pay. Workers are asking for the federal minimum wage to be raised from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour. David Janot has more tonight from protests in the Piedmont Triad.
There are more than 24 protesters outside of this Taco Bell chanting that they're unsatisfied with their wages, saying that they can't survive off of $7.25. Surrounded by fast food chains like Taco Bell, McDonald's, and Wendy's, protesters are joining many in the state and around the country in a movement asking for $15 an hour, which still represents a tiny fraction of the billion-dollar industry. North Carolina has 125,000 fast food workers. Dan Zare has been in the industry for 10 years.
I actually have 2 kids, and it's hard to survive off $7.25 because when I round it up, I make $120 a week.
According to a study at MIT, an adult with 1 child needs to make $20.07 an hour working full-time in the Raleigh area just to afford the basics. Now, this demonstration behind me has been peaceful the whole time, and they're hoping that their voices here and across the country will help bring the changes to this $200 billion industry. In Greensboro, I'm David Janot, WXII 12 News.
The federal minimum wage was last raised in 2009. Some people are calling it a royal ripoff. According to our news gathering partners at the Elkin Tribune, Miss Wheelchair North Carolina, Ashley Macemore of Jonesville, never went to the national competition in Texas, even though more than $2,500 was raised by the community for her to go compete. This is video from an interview that WXII 12 did with Macemore back in May. WXII 12 News went to Macemore's residence for comment on this. She was not there. Her grandmother admits to the newspaper that Macemore never made it to the competition. WXII 12 News has learned that no charges have been filed in that case. We're still awaiting the name of a pedestrian who was hit by a car this morning. That accident happened around 6 a.m. at the corner of Hilltop Road and Sellers Avenue near High Point Road in Greensboro. Traffic was detoured for a couple of hours. The victim was taken to the hospital for treatment. The word tonight if charges are going to be filed in that case. Now to the latest developments out of Syria. President Obama today talked about the escalating situation in that nation with House Speaker John Boehner. The Republican congressman pressed the president to make the case to Congress before announcing any military action. Syrian governments accused in a chemical attack last week that left hundreds of civilians dead. Today at the White House, Vice President Joe Biden unveiled some new measures to reduce gun violence. The 2 proposals stop restricted firearms from getting into the wrong hands by using a little-known loophole and, excuse me, and keeping military-grade weapons off the streets. The first rule would target those who try to get around the law by registering a gun to a corporation or a trust. The second new policy would stop a government practice of letting military weapons that have been sold or donated to allies be brought back into the country by private companies. Right now, the wildfire that's burning near Yosemite National Park is 30% contained. Firefighters have been battling the flames of the rim fire for nearly 2 weeks. The fire has scorched more than 300 square miles and threatened hundreds of homes and buildings, including the reservoir that is San Francisco's chief source of drinking water. It was a hot time for firefighters in Greensboro this morning, battling this house fire on Cornwallis Drive. We're told that one person was in the house when the fire started, but was able to get out before firefighters got to the scene. Firefighters say that that blaze caused about $58,000 worth of damage. Still no word on what sparked that fire. Walking across the U.S. for the fallen. More on this Marine's cross-country mission and his stop here in the Piedmont. That's coming up on WXII 12 News at 5. Also, over the years, it's become a triad tradition, but we'll tell you how this year's Labor of Love Blitz is different than years past.
And good Thursday night, folks. Kenny Beck live at BB&T Field in Winston-Salem. College football season kicks off in about 90 minutes or so, guys. Everybody's undefeated, and as usual, optimism is high. We will hear from Wake Forest fans and one of their all-time greats next.